Can you keep your home and car in bankruptcy? What's the real truth? I'm here with Matthew Fry, bankruptcy attorney from Michigan. My name is Philip Tyrone with Evergreen Financial Counseling. We help people navigate the maze of debt. Matthew, what's the truth? Can you keep your car? Let's start with car. Can you keep your car in bankruptcy? You're going to lose your car.
Okay. The answer typically is yes. Okay, and here's the rule.
Yes, you can keep your car.
You can keep your car if a couple rules here. Number one, you don't have too much equity in the car. If you got a $30,000 paid off car in the driveway, that's going to cause some problems. Couple scenarios, people tend to not pay their bills but pay the car, and then they want to file bankruptcy. And we get to that. There's only so much equity we can protect in a car. Equity is what something's worth. And so that's problem number one. Problem number two.
Now, one thing about that, equity is the difference between the loan and the value. So if the loan is 20,000, the value is 30, then there's 10,000 in equity. Now, a lot of people are upside down on their car.
Yes.
Like, does that happen more than when that they have equity?
Most people don't have equity in a vehicle unless it's paid off.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Most people, there's just no issue there.
Okay.
Few people once in a great while, but the average is no. Or if people have like a lot of vehicles, they got like 6 in the driveway or something, then run into problems there.
Okay.
So that's number one, is too much equity. The problem number two, you're behind on your car payments and you're filing Chapter 7. Most lenders will not agree to let you keep the vehicle unless you're current during your bankruptcy, or at least you can get current really quick. So if you file a Chapter 7 and you're $4,000 behind on your car payments, you're probably not going to keep it, because under the Chapter 7 rules, you have to reaffirm the debt to keep the collateral. You cannot keep the car without keeping the loan. But the creditor is the one that has to agree to that, and so you have to have that vehicle current. Now, if you're not current on the loan, or as you said, Phil, you've got a vehicle that's upside down, you have some other options. You can dump the vehicle and get a new one. There's a lot of bankruptcy specialists now that are lending just to bankruptcy clients only. Another option that is probably not really that often used, at least not in my jurisdictions here, is redemption. So if you are behind on a vehicle and it's not worth that much, maybe you're not paying on it because you're always putting money in for repairs. The transmission went, the engine went, but you just put $4,000 into it, you don't have the $4,000 in payments. But if it's worth less than what you owe, you can file a redemption motion. Maybe you have some cash you could pay off the car with for its fair market value, or you go to a company that specializes in redemption financing.
Okay.
Whole cottage industry for that here in the bank.
So a couple things let's. If you have equity, that could slow down the bankruptcy, but let's not talk about that because most people don't, right? I mean, would you say that happens 5% of the time?
I don't even think it's that high.
Okay, so the majority of the time is people have an option. They can either redeem, they can redeem, keep their car and put a new loan on it, and the loan goes down to the current value, right?
And the redemption, yes.
Yeah, and a redemption loan comes down. So if you owe $30,000 on a vehicle that's now worth 15, it comes down to 15, which is really amazing, right?
It is.
That's amazing.
Special.
And then the other thing is people don't realize is a lot of lenders, as you mentioned, we've interviewed Ash Auto Group before, where they lend specifically to bankruptcy people going through bankruptcy. Now people think, well, why would I possibly qualify for a car during a bankruptcy? They love you because they know you're not going to file bankruptcy for another 7 years, these banks, right? Right? So it really is a win. As a matter of fact, many times buying a different car through like an Ash Auto Group or this type of lender that specializes in bankruptcy, or a car dealership specializing in bankruptcy, you get a lower interest rate than a redemption, right?
Yes.
So that's interesting. So you can keep your car or get a new one during bankruptcy. It's not an automatic loss, right?
Right. In the vast majority of cases, I tell people it's going to be a debtor decision on what happens with those vehicles.
And debtor meaning client.
Debtor meaning client.
Yeah.
Yep. The attorney should be telling you about those things before you file the case.
Yeah.
If you go into a bankruptcy and you're not sure what's going to happen to your car, that's because the attorney didn't do their job.
And the courts don't want to take the card away from the client because
No.
they want you to work.
Right.
Can you keep your home in bankruptcy? Is it the same with either the equity or the no
It
equity?
really comes down to the equity, and one of the big problems we have in the bankruptcy world right now is people's home equity. Values have really gone up across this country since the COVID-19 pandemic, and exemption statutes have not always kept pace. And so a lot of times clients have to choose, do I even file for bankruptcy? Because if I file at Chapter 7, maybe I can't protect my home and it's at risk. And I'm not going to be able to work out an agreement with the trustee. Or if I file for Chapter 13, I've got to repay the unexempt or unprotected equity. The payment will be too high. This was a once in a while problem prior to 2020 where you get a client that, had paid their home off, but didn't pay any of their bills. They ran up all the credit cards and loans, but they paid their home off. They had a home that was free and clear. And then they come in like, I want to file for bankruptcy. You tell them, well, you got to pay off debt back except for your exemption.
Yeah.
And now it's so many clients we talk to is, what is your home worth in today's market? The state equalized value is no longer that relevant of a number. We
So,
see
yeah. So let's talk about the state equalized value or that exemption number, right? Every district, right, has a number that says a home is protected up to this number.
right. And
Right.
that number is going to be, again, what is your home worth minus any loans
Right.
that are on it. So if you got a mortgage, you got a home equity loan, you got a HELOC on it, you got to take the difference. Under Chapter 7, that's going to depend on, do you want to risk that someone's going to pay for a really high price for your home? This has happened to one of my clients. We had a realtor come through, gave us a written analysis, pulled comps, and we filed the Chapter 7 feeling pretty good. The trustee put a for sale sign out and got $60,000 more than our estimate.
Really?
And my client lost his house. He ended up he was not unhappy with the result because he moved back by his children. But we did the due diligence. We did all the homework, and what had happened was it was like the neighbor's kid.
Oh,
And
neighbor wanted to buy it.
yeah, and so they paid a stupid price for a stupid house. And the trustee has that right under Chapter 7, to put a for sale sign out for a few months.
Well, I didn't
And
know that.
a lot of people, go into these processes and their attorney, if they haven't done the background work, and even sometimes if you do, you've got to tell the client there's always a risk in Chapter 7 these days because the
So-
home values, you just
Right.
never know.
Now it all depends on the state because certain states have like unlimited.
Yeah, there are some
But
exceptions to
I
the
mean, there are some crazy exemptions, meaning
Yes.
protections for your home, right?
yeah,
Not your
some
rental
states-
property and stuff like that, but your home. Here you go, right?
Yeah, some states have really bumped up those exemption numbers. Michigan is a whole story. We tried to, but it hasn't quite happened yet. Under the current scheme in a lot of states, I'm told Tennessee, for example, is real bad. You can't protect that much home equity. And if the primary driver is, I've got a zero tolerance for risk, then Chapter 7's a potential issue for clients. And you got to
So-
have that talk.
So let's talk about if you do have a lot of equity, or in this guy, gentleman, let's just say this real estate agent didn't come in at 60,000 less, came at the normal, what it sold.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I can't file Chapter 7. I don't want to lose the house or sell
Right.
the house. The option for that guy, if he's in debt, is to go into a Chapter 13, have all the interest rates on a 13 get dropped to next to nothing, right?
Yep.
And you pay back your interest, your car loan, whatever your car loan is at 20% goes down to 4.5% ish, right?
Yeah. Prime
Like-
+3. Yep.
Prime +3. I mean, it becomes very, very palatable for people who, if you don't want to lose your home, then hey, don't worry about it. Like pay off your debt an easy way. And
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things where, it can simply, even if you want to pay your debt, if you go in there and say nothing else, I want to pay this back. I just can't do it at 30, 20%. You know, chapter 13, even when you look at the attorney fees, the trustee percentage that gets tacked on, trustee percentage is not an APR. It's not a recurring interest charge. It can be infinitely cheaper with the right amount of debt just to go through chapter 13, pay everybody back, feel great about the situation, and just move on. You got to do what's right for your pocketbook.
Well, and for your family or your investors. You know, the thing is also with a chapter 13, I mean, and a 7, frankly, with the right credit score, Evergreen Financial Counseling gives 7 steps to 720 credit score to their clients, a system on how to rebuild your credit during and after bankruptcy. You can buy a home during an active 13. You can buy a new home 2 years and 2 days after a chapter 7. So there's a lot of opportunities. So the short answer is yes, you can keep a car, and yes, you can keep a home, but this is why you need a bankruptcy attorney, and you don't want to file yourself or go the cheap route.
This is why you got to get a quality product.
Yeah. Well, good deal. And that quality product, well, in Michigan, Matthew Fry.
That's right.
We've worked together since 2018-ish.
2017.
2017. And if you need a bankruptcy attorney in Michigan, Matthew Fry. If you need a bankruptcy attorney anywhere, you can contact Evergreen Financial Counseling. Our links are in the description. We're a nonprofit approved by the Department of Justice. We give free information to help people navigate what's the right path to get rid of your debt. And we can introduce you to one of our network of bankruptcy attorneys if you have any questions. Matthew, thanks for joining us.
I think so.